Hey everybody, welcome back. We're going to start today with a little demonstration. I want to show you just how sweet and lovable this Burmese python is right here. And every time I come down here, he is always at the glass, just like that, right? And we're going to open him up. Look at that. Just coming right out. Look at that. See how sweet this guy is? I mean, I can look in there and know exactly what he wants. He wants to come out and he wants to play around and just explore. But if I put this out on a video, how many times do you think this is going to get a newer keeper bitten seeing an encounter starting like this? There's a lot of different things that we need to talk about that, which we are going to do today on Intrepid Exotics. Whether you're a lifelong keeper or just getting started, help us encourage responsible keeping, conservation, and public education in the interest of keeping our reptiles safe and healthy as we protect them for future generations. You're invited to spend time with us as we experience these awesome animals together on Intrepid Exotics. Okay guys, so quick quiz. How should I have started that video? And we got to keep in mind the audience that we've got. You know, those of us that have got bigger snakes, you know, we got to keep in mind that more likely than not, most of our audience doesn't have a lot of experience working with big snakes. You know, a lot of folks, you know, they watch the reptile channels because they enjoy seeing the animals and whatnot. And some other folks watch it because they're trying to learn what to do. And when we do something like that, the very first thing I should have said before I ever opened that enclosure is, okay, I'm about to interact with this animal in a way that's unique to this animal and my relationship to it, because I know it, I can read his behavior really well, and he has consistently shown me the same thing over time. Any other circumstance where you're going into an enclosure, you need to have a snake hook handy and you need to be tapping them down for a food response, because this is a really good way to get bitten. There's been a lot of interactions that I've had with these animals, both Burmese, large retics, and so forth, and they will surprise you. You know, even as well as I know this animal, one of these days I could open that door, read it wrong, get too comfortable, put my hand out there to lift him up, and he could get a hold of it and wrap me up. It's something that I understand, and it's something that everybody else needs to understand too. So, you know, when we show these really cool interactions with our animals, where you're opening up the door and you can tell they just want to get out and roam around, we really got to be mindful that people are going to be watching that, and they're going to learn how to work with their animals off of what they see us doing in many cases. So we definitely need to be, you know, throwing disclaimers and stuff out there. It's cool to share really awesome experiences with our animals, but we do got to throw that out there and say, hey, look guys, you need to understand, if you're a new keeper, you need to have a snake hook in your hand, you need to be tapping down a food response, just keep yourself safe. So when we're talking about what we show people on social media, you know, we've had this discussion come up a lot more frequently here in the last couple weeks because of some things that have been circulating. And, you know, a lot of us are concerned that we may be, as a community, putting out things that are going to give newer keepers bad habits that could possibly get some people bitten and wrapped up and hurt. And it's just something that we really need to address. Now, my part of the conversation started, I seen a video come across not too long ago where a guy was hand feeding a pig to his reticulated python right over a bucket that had, you know, it was a bucket full of water with more pigs in it. Well, he's holding it out, the snake rushes towards the pig and then dives down into the water, grabs a pig that's in the bucket, and then curls up inside the bucket of water. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, funny, haha. You know, you do enough feeding, it's not all that often you see something that's actually unusual like that. But there needed to be a disclaimer put on there saying, hey, you know, this whole diving in the bucket thing's cool, but that could have easily went the other direction, where instead of that snake going towards pig and diving towards water, could have went towards the pig and went to his hand. And, you know, now he's got a food response bite and he's all wrapped up with that animal. So that's something that you know, we tried to address and so forth, just mentioning, putting out stuff that was not the best things to be putting out there. And then you see it more frequently popping up after that, you know, holding pigs by the midsection, offering them to your snake like that. And if a newer keeper sees that and they haven't had really good mentorship and they think that's what you're supposed to do, and they just happen to get a bigger retic or a berm or something along those lines, and they think that's what you're supposed to do, you're going to end up getting somebody hurt. You know, when we put stuff out like that, if you're going to show something unusual like the response that one had going into the bucket, you know, put a disclaimer out there. You're going to show something unusual like opening up the door to the enclosure like I did in the beginning of the video, having a snake crawl right out on your hand. You need to put out a disclaimer saying, hey, I've been working with this animal for a long time. I know it really well. I can read it really well. And it's shown repeatedly the same behavior. And I'm confident that we're not going to have a bad situation come out of this. Now, even so, even as well as I know that animal, even as long as I've had him, and even as long as he's done that same thing over and over again, there's still a chance that I open up that door, he puts his head out, I go to lift his head up, and he gets a hold of me. Those are the kind of things that we need to make sure that we're reiterating. You know, it's really awesome to see people that have got such good relationships with their animals that they can open up the door, you know, reach in, grab it, no problem. But for somebody that's just getting into retics, you're really setting them up for failure. And we just need to be conscious of that. You know, like I said, we all want to show the world how awesome these animals are, and they are. But we're the main resource that a lot of newer keepers go to. You know, they turn on YouTube and they start looking up how to handle a defensive retic, how to handle a food response, you know, snake feeding, stuff like that. And if the things that they're finding is somebody doing things the wrong way or in a manner that could get somebody hurt, that's what they're going to do. It's going to be bad for the keeper. It's going to really dishearten them. It's going to give them a lot of anxiety about working with their animals, and it could end up drawing media attention at some point too. I mean, we're always under the gun, guys, and we've got to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward and make sure that everything that we do is demonstrative of responsible keeping and best practices. So just to really drive that point home, if you're going to do any feeding of your snakes, something like this is what you use. If you're going to be feeding a bigger snake where you've got bigger prey items, you know, you can handle a large breeder rat with these pretty easy. I've handled 8-foot rabbits or 8-pound rabbits with these. 8-foot rabbit. That would be funny. But man, these things, you can get them from Midwest Tongs. They're great. They're strong. And even using these, I've had the snakes that I've got here miss the rabbit and get a hold of the tongs. If I would have been holding on to that animal in the same place that I had it with the tongs, mine would have missed the prey and it would have gotten a hold of my hand. I've done massive feedings before for a whole lot of animals, and there's been several occasions where I've had to keep an extra set of tongs handy because I'd go in to feed one, 18-foot snake gets a hold of the prey item and wraps up the tongs too. Those tongs are going to stay in there until they decide to let it go. So you grab another pair and you keep feeding, and then you go back when they let it go and you take your tongs out of there. Imagine what would happen if that was your hand and you were trying to hand feed it. And not to really pick on anybody, but I am going to pick on somebody. I'm just not going to call them out by name. I also seen something else come out where they was talking about scent training as opposed to tap training. And the whole concept behind this is that when you open up the door for your snake's enclosure, you put your arm out there and you let them come through and you let them get used to your scent so that they know that it's a person and not food. I don't even want to begin with how utterly ridiculous this is. If any of you guys have seen this and you're thinking about doing it, I strongly discourage it. Or make sure that you've got a spray bottle of Listerine handy and some bandages, because sooner or later, probably sooner, you're going to need them. Our snakes, especially our reticulated pythons, they're very intelligent animals. But like I said, even Monty, even as cool as she is, I've went in there with a hook before. A hook, not even anything more. And I went to tap her down, and her mouth was open, she was flailing, full food response, going after a cold hook. Now, that is just demonstrative of the fact that when these snakes are taken over by their food response, they don't think, they react. They're ambush predators. So you might think that they're getting used to your scent or whatever, but a snake's food response can be triggered by movement, it can be triggered by heat, it can be triggered by, hell, it can be triggered by a shadow. Can't tell you how many times I've walked past an enclosure, passing shadow, and the snake strikes at it. So stuff like that, just don't. And if you're one of those people that wants to put videos out about some oddball stuff like that, you just need to keep in the back of your mind, okay? If a newer keeper comes on and they see you talking about, I'm going to offer my arm to the snake so that they get used to the scent so they know not to bite me, a newer keeper that's not familiar with these animals might start thinking, well, you know what? I really want to make sure my kid doesn't get bit. So let me go ahead and take my 3-year-old over there and put their arm there and let the snake get their scent so I don't ever have to worry about that snake biting that kid. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to be pulling that snake off of that kid because they watched your video of you doing something that is just worst practice you could possibly think of. Then that's, I don't know what else I could say about that. I think I made the point pretty clear. That thing in particular really got under my skin because I can just see that leading to so many bad interactions for people. And, our responsibility as anybody, whether you got a YouTube channel, whether you're putting it out on Facebook, whatever you're doing, we do have a responsibility to put out sensible stuff that is not going to get people hurt. So anyway, I didn't want this to be a really long video. All you experienced keepers out there, I know there's a lot of people that completely understand what we're talking about here. Any of the newer keepers that are watching this, please keep this stuff in mind because I understand that not everybody has a mentor in the reptile community that can kind of walk them through best practices and so forth. And, it's real easy to see somebody and say, well, this person's got, 60,000 subscribers and they've got to know what they're talking about. That's not always the case. I just, here a few months ago, I turned down an interview with this one channel. I had, 65,000 subscribers. And as soon as I opened up the channel and I looked at it and I pulled up the video list, every single one of the videos was a live feeding video. So he's got 65,000 people in his community that just like to see animals suffer. Not somebody I want to be associated with. Sorry. It's just my ethics don't agree with that. So, just because somebody has a lot of people following them doesn't mean they're right. You really got to kind of look and take a lot of people's opinions into account, a lot of different viewpoints. And just like we was talking about in the live stream with myself and a couple other breeders and keepers not too long ago, we've got to cumulatively amongst all of us have discussions about what the best practices are, what we should be presenting, because anytime we put anything out on social media, it goes out to the whole world, and it's the face that the non-reptile keepers see. It's the face that the inexperienced folks see. And we want to make sure that we're putting out the right stuff for folks. So I don't want to sit here and harp too much, but this is something that I thought really needed to be addressed. Now, one of the next videos that I'm going to be putting out here over the course of the next couple days is about U.S. ARC. There's a couple issues that have arisen in a couple more states. It seems like animal program bans are the next big thing. We're seeing state after state after state putting these things down. And I've always said the greatest tool that we've got as keepers in order to ensure that we're going to be able to maintain the rights to keep these animals is public education. And I think somebody heard that because now they are just trying to nail public education programs. That's something that we really need to stop. That's a big threat. So I'm going to put out a whole video on that in the next couple days, and we're going to go in depth on that. We're going to talk about which states, what they're talking about doing, and what we can do to mitigate it, and what we can do in our own states where that's not on the table yet to maybe prevent that from going on the table. So of course, as always, guys, like the videos, get down in the comments. Let me know if you've got any input. I'm always open to hearing it. And get subscribed to the channel. We've always got a lot of good stuff going on. I've also got episode 4 about the Nile monitors coming up. This one's going to be on socialization. I'm going to try and get all of these things pumped out over here over the next few days. So hopefully I can get all that stuff done and still get all the stuff done I got to do with the animals. So hey, you guys have an outstanding day, and we'll see you next time on Intrepid Exotics.